this is Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Today's question is, why is the assertion that queer people are grooming children hate speech? I firmly believe that this is hate speech. Hate speech, to define that for you, is speech that vilifies or incites hatred against a group based on that group's characteristics. So like race, religion, sexual orientation, gender. Grooming, for those of you who may not know, is a very specific term that is a part of how predators, sexual predators, identify victims and mold those potential victims to make them easier to sexually assault. So it's about sexual assault of children. So when people are saying that queer people are grooming children, they are implying, if not flat out saying, that queer people are more likely to sexually assault children than straight people, that queer people are sexually assaulting children. And that is a bald-faced lie to say that being queer has anything at all to do with sexual assault, and specifically sexual assault of children. Most people who are sexually assaulted as children are sexually assaulted by somebody in the home, someone they know, someone close to them. And I've talked about this on other videos. I will leave that there, but open to questions. But as a survivor of sexual assault, I think this is dangerous rhetoric that takes away from the actual efforts to end sexual abuse against children by having this red herring that says queer people are this danger, when in fact we need to be looking in our own homes and in our own families to make sure that we are protecting our kids from the predators who are there. So that's kind of fiery. I'm very passionate about that. But let's turn the wheels a little bit. Let's now talk about this issue, putting aside the actual inflammatory, defamatory, hate speech word of grooming. Let's put that aside. And let's talk about this assertion that gay people are somehow making people gay. That queer people are turning people queer. Let's talk about this. So, does exposure to queer culture make people queer? And does it change how a child develops and their sexual orientation? Are gay people pressuring children to be gay? I'm going to answer that question, but then I'm also going to turn it on its head and talk about straight people and what they're doing in mainstream normal culture to pressure their children to be straight and to conform to gender roles. So in my experience, as a queer person and a parent of two children who have, at this point, have not identified their sexual orientation, but have identified their gender orientation as cisgender. As a person who has been to many queer events where straight and gay and trans and cisgender children are running around, it is my concerted opinion that the queer community has a value that is, you do you. You be whatever you are. And if you are straight, that's great. If you're gay, that's great. That doesn't really make a difference in terms of my love for you, my respect for you as a person, and my just general respect for humanity and as a whole. Like, I respect people. And in the queer community, there is a value of respecting people however they come, however they present, whatever they happen to be in terms of orientation and identity, without any consequences of being ostracized from our community for being other than that. So absolutely, there are straight people at Pride. There are straight people at most queer events. There are straight people who are staunch allies, like heartwarming stories about groups that are like free mom hugs and things like that, that are straight people showing up to support people who have been rejected by their community, who have been rejected by straight community, by the conservative communities that say that you don't belong here. I have seen personally, with my own eyes in my own life, people in straight community, the kind of straight community that denies the existence of queer people, the sexualization of children in the sense of putting girls into outfits and into situations where they are being judged based on being pretty alone, and where they are told that they are to be attractive for men, and that they are to draw that attention from men as a way of getting validation. I've seen that in child beauty pageants. child dance competitions, some of the ways that people dress up their children. There are, I mean, comedy shows do bits about this, but it's really anytime that you're encouraging a child to act like a hyper feminine or hyper masculine version of themselves. You are enforcing upon that child that they need to be that they have to be that. And then if you overlay on that messages that say that you will not belong in this family anymore if you are not one of us. If you turn out to be gay, you're going to go to hell. If you turn out to be gay, then you can't live under my roof. These are not hypotheticals. These are things that we experience as queer people. A lot of us have experienced this. And when people say, we will take in your children, it is not that we are coming for your children, but when you kick them out, we will try to make sure that they have a home. Because what I've seen personally myself is that straight society, and not all, but the straight society that says that people are grooming children for when they're gay and taking their kids to Pride and taking their kids to gay events and they have gay teachers. The people who are saying that, if that child in that family is gay, how do you think that child feels? I can guarantee you it's a whole lot worse than a straight kid growing up in queer culture. Because, frankly, we know not everybody's gay. We know that being queer is not the majority. Are you kidding me? We live here now. We know this to be true. But the thing is, we've always been here. We've always existed. Gay people, trans people, always existed. Queer has always been a thing. There have always been people who didn't quite fit the mold. People attracted to the same gender. People attracted to multiple genders. People who feel that their authentic presentation is a non-gender conforming presentation. This is not new. This has existed throughout all of human history. What's new, and not too new, unfortunately, it's been around for a few centuries, but what's fairly new is this assertion that just existing on the part of being a queer person is somehow hurting children. That's new. So yeah, I've honestly never encountered a situation where queer community has said, you cannot be a part of our community if you're not queer. I've not encountered that, especially to children. Children are encouraged to be who they are. I have absolutely seen and experienced and have friends who've experienced people ostracizing queer people for just being queer. I love my children regardless of how they present. I love my children regardless of what they think and feel and believe. I will love them and support them because that's my job as their mother. I wish that were a view that were more common, and I wish that there were more meat behind the words, more realism behind the words for queer kids. Again, as a survivor of sexual assault, it offends me deeply that people are using the term grooming because it detracts from what is a critical issue in our society, and that is the one of ending childhood sexual abuse. And this red herring of saying that queer people are responsible for this is taking attention away from looking at our homes and our families and looking at our circle to see who is actually taking advantage of children and ostracizing those people, not the queer people. Ostracize those people, the people who are actually hurting kids. And I guess that's all I've got to say on that. Thank you very much for listening. This is Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. I appreciate you hanging in while I got serious there. And remember, you can ask me anything. Have a great day.